Assalamu alaikum student. So this is our last topic, that is regression analysis, and within regression analysis this is our first lecture, and we will be covering our two more lectures, lecture 2 and lecture 3, and then we will complete our syllabus which we intend to start. So first of all, I would give you brief introduction about the regression. What is regression analysis? So simply, regression analysis is a technique through which independent variables predict the relation on dependent variable. That is what simple regression. Regression is a family of techniques. So there you can see the single regression, multiple regression, stepwise regression, linear regression, and blah blah blah. So there are many types of regression. So single regression or multiple regression is so much easier to understand. Single is what, one variable, then another dependent variable. The relationship of independent variable, okay, you can see in this slide, even though this is for mediation, but this direct relationship, ignore the mediator, ignore this mediator, and you can see independent variable relationship on dependent variable, one independent and one dependent. That is what simply you can say, that is what simple regression. And multiple is what, when you have two or more than two variables that affect the dependent variable. Now we can see the bookish definition. What does it say about the multiple regression? Multiple regression is not just one technique, so it is, but it is a family of techniques that can be used to explore the relationship between one continuous dependent variable and a number of independent variables or predictors. So independent variables predict the dependent variable. So what you have one or more than one variable that affect dependent variable, and dependent variable must be continuous. And I have already taught you guys about the scales: continuous, ratio, nominal, ordinal, variables, the categorical variable, dichotomous variable, etc. So the independent variable may be, that can be categorical or continuous, but dependent variable must be the continuous variable. So there are some assumptions related with the technique. Even though for regression one need to completely understand, there's a separate subject for understanding the regression analysis. It is not so much simple or so much easier to completely master on the regression analysis, but you don't have that much level, so you will be only understanding the basics of regression, and we will have a practical test, and then we will interpret the result, and that's it. Otherwise, econometrics is a subject. I hope so that subject is also in your syllabus, econometrics. That will give you the concepts of multicollinearity, normality, linearity, heteroscedasticity or homoscedasticity, singularity. So these are the different concepts and different things which are taught in the subject. So you are not up to the much level, that's why I'm not going to cover that. However, sample size is same, assumption related to sample size is same as you have studied in the factor analysis. 5 to 10 observations per variable that can be statistically tested, and further outliers and normality, data clearance you have already covered. So data must be covered so that you can understand that. So this was bit introduction from the PPTs, then in my previous classes I have already told you that here 148 means here it all subject, here it all uh, manual, and this is what I have already given to it. Otherwise, if you will open it like this and you will press 148, then you will come on the multiple regression analysis. Otherwise, you will be seeing other test. So this is what highlighted, same thing which you have already covered. So major types of multiple regression, what are standard, are simultaneous, hierarchical, or sequential, or stepwise. So I'm not going to discuss for you guys. So we will cover only simple multiple regression, standard multiple regression, in which all independent predictor variables are entered into equal simultaneous. One time all variables are put in, test is run. So sample size, you can further study from here that how much there should be the number, but rule of thumb I have already told you that there should be 5 to 10 per variable, I mean per question, per item. If you don't remember, I am going to recognize you. This is what your data set, and if you have facilitating conditions, so you have within facilitating conditions you have 3 variables, so it is based to multiply with them 10, so 30 respondent per this, and then 30 respondent more 60, and then 50 respondent, that is 110, and then is the 550 more, and then the 660 more, but we have more than that sample size. So how much do we have? So we have 925 respondents we have. So we have enough sample size. You can have more sample size, that will bring robustness in your results, but minimum requirement is what you must have, like that sample size. So we are not going to discuss all these things, they are also going to discuss an example. So I will not cover from that example, rather we have data set. This is my published paper, and this has been published in Management Science Letters. It is HEC recognized international journal, Scopus Index. The name of this is Factors Affecting Adoption Behavior for Tablet Device Among Computer Users in Pakistan. So the crux of this is that a researcher want to see that either pupil or the adoption behavior of people within Pakistan, do they use mobile devices as a computing device, tablet devices as a computing device. So technology adoption model, TAM model, has been used, and this is what it is published paper, and these are the parts of this, but I am not going to discuss all these things. This is about the literature review, and then you have methodology, and this is what model. These are the variables: perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, perceived price, facilitating conditions. These are independent variable, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are independent variable. Here it is written independent variable, and these are what? Dependent variable. All the effect. Perceived ease of use. If I am going to make the hypothesis, perceived ease of use has positive effect on attitude to adopt tablet device, same like other variables. These are the hypothesis. The facilitating condition has positive effect on attitude to adopt tablet device. So this is what you have: 4 variables, you have 1 independent variable, and we will run the test. So right now, this was what our first lecture, that was to understand why you conduct the test, why you have to conduct any statistical test. This is the same. Now you have learned factor analysis, correlation, and some basic descriptive statistics, and now you are learning the regression analysis. So which one test you need to consider to have on a particular problem? So that depends specifically on the research questions, research problem, broadly research problem, and then research questions from which you draw your research hypothesis. This is the same like if I ask you, Ali has 2 rupees and Mahmood is 2 rupees. They added the amount and then purchased ABC, etc., anything. So which mathematical technique you will use to know the amount? You will use the addition technique. You will add 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. You will not use the division, multiplication, or anything else. Same way, you will choose the statistical technique on the basis of problem, question, what is being asked to you. As in my example of 2 plus 2, I asked from you which mathematics techniques you will use to know the exact amount that has been spent by Ali and Mahmood. So you said that addition within you will use the addition technique from the mathematics to know the exact amount. So same, if you need to understand or if you want to know the prediction if you want to predict something, if you want to predict from independent to dependent variables, or you want to predict anything, you need to conduct statistical test, that is regression analysis. Thank you for now. We will have practical test on in our next lecture. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.